Hey guys, it's Connor Plays Magic back once again. This time, instead of MTGO gameplay, we've got a tournament report on Blue Sky, similar to Bosch and Roll's tournament reports on his legacy events. So if you haven't seen him already, shout out to Bosch and Roll. But here, I'm going to be running through how I did for the Legacy Oversized event as well as the other Legacy Plus side event. Also, if you haven't already, check out my Blue Sky account and all my socials listed here, where I'll be running through tournament reports when I do large in paper tournaments like this, and I'm going to be sharing some of the other things that I got up to at SCG CON Hartford. So I was at SCG CON Hartford this weekend, and I played in a couple of events. So we're going to run through how that went, as well as a couple other bits and bobs and uh, things that I was able to do there, and some goodies that I walked away with. So we'll be going through some of that and doing some pack openings in a second. But if you haven't already, feel free to follow me on Blue Sky. All my social links and everything are here. But let's jump into the tournament report. So this was the thread that I was working through. We went with the um, mono red painter list that I've been testing with for a little while now, and that should be linked in the description below, as well as on Stream Decker if you're watching live. I have here um, the breakdown of how every round went. So with the MTG Legacy Oversized event, that was a 5 round event that we started the morning with, and then following that ran into a 3 round event and some other things after that. So started out round one. This was a 2-0 win against Nadu Breakfast. Um, I apologize for not knowing the names of all my opponents, but shout out to the guys here. I'm from up in Boston, and I was running into a lot of people either from Boston or New York, obviously in Hartford, Connecticut. So this guy from New York was running Nadu Breakfast. You're able to do the regular kind of grindstone gameplay 2 games in a row, and it's a pretty good matchup for us. I mean, we have blast effects in the main. We're able to deal with that blue deck pretty well. We have main deck Grave Hate against the breakfast side of Nadu Breakfast. So pretty happy with that, and we were able to see a really awesome showing from Untimely Malfunction. So we used that to redirect a prismatic ending that was targeting one of our permanents at the opponent's pithing needle that was naming, I believe, either the grindstone itself or like a goblin engineer. So that just really unlocked us to go from there. So I've really been loving Untimely Malfunction. I know in the past I've had some reservations about maybe wanting to keep a braid in the sideboard to deal damage to creatures, but every single um, every single part of Untimely Malfunction has been useful in some way, shape, or form. So I've really turned to love that card. In addition to changing the targets to the pithing needle, which was really strong. There are a lot of other things that we can do with it, even within a matchup like that as well. We can use it to change the target of a counter spell to the Untimely Malfunction itself, so it basically acts as a counter to a one-off counter, things like that. We also, in this instance, because we had their Pithing Needle exiled due to the prismatic ending, we were able to use the Engineer and Soul Guide Lantern to exile their graveyard in response to their attempt to Memories Journey flashback after we had already grindstone them. So that was just another cool interaction with the deck, and I'm just really loving the build that we have together right now. So we were off to a flying start with round one. Going on to round two, unfortunately, we lost 0-2 against Storm. This was another unbelievable player, I believe, from New York, but I can't remember. But this Storm player, huge credit to them. We had so many tools and things that we could use against them, and they just pushed through regardless. So we, in game one, were able to get down one ring protection early, and that still led to us losing the match because even though we had one ring protection, so they couldn't tendrils us, we were able to see them go into their secondary game plan of Song of Creation, which allows them to play an extra land and then draw tons of cards as they're casting spells and storming off. So what they did with that was actually storm off to the point where they could get um, a wish, burning wish to grab Approach of the Second Sun from their sideboard, cast that, and then put it as the bottom card of their library. And because Song of Creation draws 2 cards per card cast, they were able to perfectly navigate it so they had exactly even cards in their deck to draw exactly their deck, no more, no less, and get the second Approach of the Second Sun, which was just unbelievable to witness. Obviously, disappointing to get the loss there, but losing to Storm against One Ring Protection with Xaxes and going through that whole Song of Creation line was, props and hats off to them. So that was game one. And then game two, we had this really funny Void Snare scenario. So we had Leyline of the Void in play after sideboarding, and they cast a Void Snare to bounce it to my hand as their way of, in my thoughts, storming off and unlocking their graveyard. So we had to have a judge call in order to uh, figure out whether or not the Void Snare, after bouncing the Leyline of the Void, would end up in the graveyard or not. It turns out that it did end up in the graveyard, but the reason that we were waiting for that judge call was because they had one more card in hand and they had an LED in play. So my thought was, depending on whether or not it's in the graveyard, we'll decide whether or not it gets shuffled back into the deck if they then crack their LED to discard an Echo of Eons and cast Echo of Eons. So I wanted to make sure that we both knew exactly what was going on there, but they ended up casting the Void Rend and then passing the turn. So then when it went back to my turn, I just played a Shadow Spear and exiled the Void Rend anyway. So it really didn't end up mattering, but obviously there was a world in which it could, and it was just very funny because it took us a 5 to 10 minute judge call to figure out something that ended up not mattering at all. But again, with the Leyline of the Void in play, and then with me putting down a Shadow Spear, they were able to just naturally storm off without the use of their graveyard whatsoever and still tendrils me. So through one ring protection in game one and 2 forms of grave hate in game two, we were still, beaten by Storm, which again, total credit to them. Thoroughly, you know, deserved win on their part. I think it was just a rough loss for us. So, not a lot else that we could do in that situation. Then we come to round three with a really great sneak and show opponent. This was a really tight match. So we lost, but the loss was just a 1-2. So we were able to pull one game out. The really difficult part was game one. Game one, we had to mulligan down to 4, and I was able to, you know, have a bit of game against them. I don't remember specifically how game one went, but it was rather tight, and we were still alive after an Emrakul attack with a sneak attack. So we were at 5 life, lost some permanence, but we had, I believe, just a Painter Servant in play with no lands, and it was kind of a top deck war as to whether or not I could find the Grindstone and enough mana to activate, or if they would find another threat. They obviously found another threat before I could Grindstone, so that just kind of is what it is. And again, down to 4, the fact that we had any kind of a game was pretty interesting there. From there, we went on to game 2, and that was Pithing Needle and Disruptor Flute both in play. One naming Sneak Attack, one naming Show and Tell. So we were able to fully lock that down. And then game 3, I kept a hand with a Blast Effect, thinking that that would be good against Show and Tell. They ended up having the Sneak Attack, and it was just a matter of our interaction not lining up with their threats. So, not a whole lot that we can do there. Props to the opponent. It was just a really a tight game and a bit of a coin flip. Could have gone either way. Then we got to round 4. So round 4 was the Red Painter Mirror match. So this is something I actually haven't previously had a ton of experience with, but I was able to get um, a matchup with this at my locals on Thursday before I went to SCG CON Hartford. And there I picked up a lot of tips and tricks. I was also in some of the discords asking people about what the Red Painter matchup looked like, and we learned some interesting things. So big thing for the mirror, you obviously want to bring out all the blast effects, you want to bring out the painter, but some of the interesting things is just like the interaction with the deck and each other's pieces overall, right? So like if somebody puts in a painter, it's a parallel effect. So somebody putting in painter is basically like who's going to grindstone who first. And like even if you grindstone someone, if they grindstone you back and whoever draws first from their empty deck, like that's very interesting there. Then you also have the added layer of the engineers and the welders and the grave hate that you guys both have, and whether or not you're exiling other people's or messing with other people's graveyard, messing with your own graveyard, who responds to who when. There's so many intricate pieces with the red painter matchup that I just find it very, very interesting, and it ends up being that there are so many things where you're having to keep up against what they're keeping up, so it's kind of stalematey for a little bit until somebody can break through while holding that kind of Mexican standoff stalemate, also doing just kind of standard stompy aggro stuff and interacting with your opponent's creatures. So we were able to, in this match, just combo them faster in game 1. And then in game 2, we were doing these like unbelievable Chaos Defiler loops where we put Chaos Defiler into the bin and then had, I believe, 3 different goblins in play. We had 2 welders and an engineer, and we were just bouncing in and out, getting rid of all their stuff. I will say, my opponent, super, super awesome person to play against. They were having a ton of fun enjoying Red Painter. There were a couple opportunities that I noticed that they missed chances to be able to exile things from our graveyard, which obviously gave us a bit of a leg up, but we did have multiple engineer and welder abilities active at that point. So even if they had, we would have been able to respond. So we were kind of just in a dominant position anyway, but we were able to pull out the win 2-0 there. And again, just such a fun, interesting, and interactive matchup that Just wanted to highlight. So that was really cool. Then at that point, so the oversized event ran from 11 o'clock onward for however long 5 rounds took. And the following event, that was the only other legacy event, was 3 rounds starting at 4 p.m. So what we ended up doing for round 5 is I just went up to my opponent because we were starting at that point. I think like it was like 3:30 or something like that, and I was like, I just need some form of a rest. Doing like 8 full rounds of legacy was just not in the cards, and I wanted to get something to eat. And I also, if we had played it out, might not have even had time to sign up for the 4 o'clock. So I spoke with my opponent. They were happy to just draw. We split prizing, and then I was able to take a bit of a breather, get something to eat, get signed up for the 4 p.m., and then we just did the 4 p.m. as opposed to um, having the chance of maybe missing that. So that's what we did there. Then we jump into the 4 p.m. And actually, a lot of other people had done something similar and kind of rushed through round 5. So my first round opponent for the 4 p.m. Legacy Plus was a burn opponent that I was sitting next to um, during round 1 of the 11 o'clock oversize event. So that actually was interesting because I knew that it was the burn matchup. I recognized them, uh, and it just unfortunately is just a bad matchup for our deck. Like the only real thing that we can do is outrace them, which is difficult to do against burn. They also have the ability to just interact with our creatures and our board very well if they are willing to take it a little bit slower. And we have, main deck um, main deck ancient tombs and other things that just really hurt us. So it's just a bad matchup in general. In game 1, I actually was able to get a turn 2. uh I don't even know if it was turn 2. It might have been like turn 3 or something. We were able to get it off the Devourer combo super quickly, but they had 3 blockers and we were at 6 life. So I don't know. Maybe I was in the wrong for not just swinging and forcing them to take a block, but we were just kind of in this stalemate of like, if I attack them, then they swing back. I probably lose on the crackback, um, and then they just top deck enough bolts to be able to burn us out. And then in game 2, I just like kept having to dig and hopefully find the combo to beat them. We were able to do One Ring, we were able to do Fable, draw through so many cards, but we just could not find a Grindstone to pair with our Painter to combo them. So hey, fair play to Burn, and it was really interesting to see that deck there and performing. So many people have kind of written off Burn, but especially when you're not expecting it, it's a deck that very much tests you. So, they have some new tools here. I was making a joke about the new Bolt Wave from Foundations, and yeah, no, interesting to see. I've put Burn together myself in the past just to have it on hand. So maybe that's something that I'll have to take a look at. That's an interesting one. That's also there's like a budget version that's one of the free decks that MTGO gives you as an intro deck. So that was there. Then round 2 we got a buy, which obviously annoying that we didn't get to play that match, but got some prizing, and I was able to use that time to my advantage. More on that in a second when I go through the prizing haul and everything that went there. But round 2 being the buy, even though unfortunately it was less games of Magic, I was able to to make something good come out of that. So I'll show you that in just 1 second. Then final round of the day, we were able to get the win against Cloudpost. So game 1, we just supercharged, super fast Devourer combo on turn 2. Just as it's drawn up, Engineer turn 1, get Devourer in the bin, turn 2, Agatha's, go to attacks after no blockers declared, exile it, put the counter, just start exiling off the top until we have lethal. And they were amazed. They had never seen that before, so that was interesting. And then um, I put here game 3. I think this was a typo, and I meant to say game 2, obviously, because it was a 2-0 win. But I played the Disruptor Flute on turn 1, and just in the blind, I figured, well, not in the blind, I obviously knew their deck, but I figured even though I hadn't seen much of what they were trying to build towards, because it was only turn 1, and even though I had One Rings of my own in my deck, I just figured that One Ring is just such a strong card for them in the matchup, and just a strong engine for them to begin with, that I just named that blindly. I wasn't 100% sure. It's been a while since I've played any kind of cloud post, or played against any cloud post for that matter, that I just wasn't really sure what other tools they had, or what was going on there, but I just figured that Disruptor Flute naming the One Ring was just a good thing to name, even if it turned off some of my cards. And then after the match, they told me that they were stuck with 3 of them in hand. So it was just an unbelievable, unbelievable name. I basically just, blanked their entire hand, and we were able to run away with it, just with combat damage, even after they put a prime time into play. So got the win there. Finished in total, counting the bye with, what was that, like our total record of, it was 2-2-1 for the oversized, and then 2-1 for the plus. So um, total record of 4-3-1 on the day. Pretty happy with that. Some other things that we were able to do, and this is kind of going back to the bye and some things we were able to do between rounds. I did, because the first match started at 11, prior to going in to play the games, I was able to get some artist signatures. So one of the things you'll see here is this amazing signature that I was able to get from Lucas Graciano. So great artist there on the Simian Spirit Guide. I did this really nice. I got this really nice red signature from him. So shout out there. That was unbelievable. This is my favorite Simian Spirit Guide art. I know I'm only currently running 2 in the list, but I have the third one because I figure, you never you never know. I've had that in and out. So just an awesome piece to have. And this was my first ever time doing artist signatures and going to a con like this, outside of doing like PAX East. So I figure just get as many signatures as I can find for the deck that I'm playing, and that was a really awesome first one to go with. Very happy to have now signed Simian Spirit Guides in the deck. The other signature that I got, I just posted earlier today because I forgot to take a picture at the con, but got the Agatha Soul Cauldrons signed by Jason Engel, and these just look super cool. I know, obviously, not the easiest for opponents to have a signature in front of all of the wordy text box of Agatha's Soul Cauldron, but these just look really, really cool, and I'm so happy with how they came out. So that was that there. We also I posted a couple other things here. This was one of the funny hands that I had against the burn opponent. So I just had to take a picture because this was ridiculous to have a full 4 of all 4 Fable and the Mirror Breakers with an Ancient Tomb. Obviously, not a good hand, and we ended up mulliganing it, but just something that I just thought was funny and had to take a picture of. And then yeah, I posted on here about finishing the night right with some vintage cube and some nice Peruvian food. So that was a really nice way to end the night. And the Vintage Cube was actually hosted by someone I believe on Instagram called $100 Cube. All words, no letters, no numbers rather. But $100 Cube was this guy who was walking around with a Vintage Cube sign all throughout the con and constantly asking people if they wanted to play Vintage Cube, and he had a fully proxied out Vintage Cube that anybody could just come and jam games of. So that was super cool, and he offers $100 proxied cube fully built and shipped. If you're interested, look up $100 cube on Instagram. So much fun. I was able to put together a really unbelievable reanimator deck. I was able to pack one, pick one, grab a Traxa, and then we had like show and tell. We had a ton of reanimate stuff. We had Entomb, Demonic Tutor, a Soul Ring, like just crazy, crazy stuff. Super fun deck. Went 1-1 with that. So if you're adding that to the overall Magic games played on the day, record of 5-4-1. So a little over 50-50. Pretty happy with that. And just the Vintage Cube all across the board, just such a fun format and fun to just play with some random people at the con. So that was awesome. That was basically everything that I was able to post and show from SCG CON on Blue Sky. But I did want to show some of the things that I ran away with, and as mentioned in the teaser, just show some of the haul and some of the stuff that I got up to during the buy in the 4 p.m. event. So I'm going to switch over to the webcam here, and I'll show you guys the cards that I got from the event. So as shown, we got these lovely signatures on the Simian Spirit Guides. So I got those three, as well as signatures on the Agatha's Soul Cauldrons. And those are just looking great over here. Then I picked up a couple of singles as I'm putting together a bracket 1 commander deck. I figure bracket 1 is just something that nobody's really built for or talked about, and I wanted to put something together. So I really like turtles, and I figured that I should put together a deck with all turtles or shells in the art. So none of these cards are actually turtles themselves, but they all have turtle art. So this is Shelldock Isle in Japanese foil from some secret layer. A little curled, but I think we can get that flattened out, and that's going to look awesome in the deck. Got a Pattern of Rebirth. I don't know if you can see that. Yep. And then also got this secret layer foil Forgotten Ancient. Looking like a turtle as well, even though it's a creature type elemental. So those are some fun singles that I picked up as well. And then the big thing, I ended up, and this is a shout out to a couple different people. So Ben Bateman has been talking about selling collections in order to pick up and buy top end Magic cards and reserve list staples. So I ended up going to the TOA Tales of Adventure um, booth to sell and as much of my collection of my binder as I could in order to pick up some reserve list cards. So we got rid of probably about 80 to 90% of the valuable stuff in my binder. They really go through and um, buy a bit of everything, which is really awesome. So even though it would have taken me a while to get rid of all of it, they just grabbed it all. And I just got rid of a ton of like $1, $2 cards all the way up to like a couple $30, $40 cards. got about $900 worth of credit and used all of that to get this, my second City of Traders, which is awesome, as well as, and this is the big one, my first ever original OG dual land. So I picked up this. I think it's probably between moderately and heavy played Volcanic Island, which is just unbelievable. I'm so happy with this because especially getting a blue dual land, this is something that's going to be able to maintain its value or go up in price. It's something that I've been looking at for a while, wanting to get into because there is the chance that I might start playing something like a Delver deck in Legacy. So first of hopefully more to come, but picked up a volcanic island as well as my second City of Traders. So this is something I've now put into the deck. Didn't have it at the time, but as I mentioned, you can see the deck list for what I ran for this tournament in the description, as well as on Stream Decker. But I'm putting in the second City of Traders, and we'll test and see how that goes. Obviously, helpful for getting out one rings faster and things like that. So just want to make sure that I'm not missing out on too much red, but gonna swap the one mountain for that, and it'll just be nice to be able to have so that we can swap in and out as needed and as the list changes. So these were the major singles pickups, and then I also, because of my record with the events from the prizing, picked up a pack of Lost Caverns of Ixalan, as well as a Tarkir Dragonstorm collector booster, and another Tarkir Dragonstorm collector booster. So we're going to open these up right now and see what we can get out of these. So let me move these singles out of the way. And we'll see how we did on the packs and see if our pack luck is any good here. We're going to save the collector boosters for now and start with Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So this is one I don't think I was able to do the pre-release for this, so I don't know everything that's in this set. I know there was obviously the Mana Crypt, but I think that might just be in the collector boosters. We're gonna see how this goes and see what we can get out of here. So we have, let me make sure that this is able to be seen. Got some commons here. Then I'll just run through quickly. Ray of Ruin, okay. Brazen Blade Master. Walk with the Ancestors. Not a ton of these that I'm recognizing because I haven't played a lot of this set, and I'm not sure they made a ton of splash in Eternal formats, but now we're getting into the uncommons. So we have Council of Echoes. Bitter Triumph, that one I obviously do know. That's a great card. It's good to have that. Gold Fury Strider, okay, and then the rare, I believe? Dire Flail, okay. So what is this? 1 red for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Equip for 1, and you can craft with artifact. Exile this artifact, exile another artifact you control or an artifact from your graveyard to return this card transformed under its owner's control. Okay, let me flip it over. What we have here, Dire Blunderbuss, which is also equipment, but equipped creature has +3/0 and has whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice an artifact other than Dire Blunderbuss. When you do, this creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. Okay, interesting. This might be one that I have to actually mess with. So I do have a not a Cranko deck. I forget the I forget the name, but it's the mono red goblin planeswalker commander deck that is basically all about artifact synergies and artifacts in graveyards and stuff. This seems like something that might be interesting there. Then we have Captain Storm. Okay, that's kind of cool too. I like that foil, the little showcase artwork. That's awesome. And then a hidden volcano, just as a nice little cave to tack on at the end. Okay, so that was Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Let's get into the first Tarkir Dragonstorm collector booster. This seems cool. I haven't opened a collector booster in what feels like ages. I think I basically just go for play boosters these days. And I don't even know what we can get in here. Obviously, with the collector booster, they're fancy artwork, so I'm not as up to date on. But I do know from the Tarkir Dragonstorm set, there are a number of cards that are very interesting, like Corey Steelcutter, like Ugin, tons of stuff. So let's see if we get anything good. Maybe we get some fun dragons, and we'll see what we can do with those. Okay, so starting out with a warrior token. Ooh, Quarry Mountain Monastery in foil. Okay, so I think we have the pack turned the wrong way around in terms of rares being up front. So we'll switch it around for the next one, but let's just keep going this way for now. So Quarry Mountain Monastery, interesting, and ooh, Surak Elusive Hunter 4/3. I've actually played against this on MTGO, and there are some very fringe mono green decks that are using this card. This seems really, really cool. So it's a 4/3, can't be countered, has trample, and whenever a creature you control becomes or a creature spell becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you draw a card. So if you're playing some sort of like green stompy deck in Legacy, you can obviously power this out quickly with it being 2 and a green. It's a 4/3, and then it's not getting countered, but if one of your following creatures gets countered, or if somebody tries to bolt it or something, you're at least drawing a card. So there may or may not be something there. I've been seeing a little bit of testing with it, as I've mentioned. Oh, and then this one is awesome. This is perfect for our turtle deck. So we have the Ampling Storm Shell with Ward 2, and when it attacks, you put stun counters on it and draw 3 cards, which is unbelievable. But whenever you cast a turtle spell, you untap this creature. So once the deck fully comes together, I'll have to show you guys. But like in a deck that's built around turtles, like this is the hidden commander because it's just unbelievable. You just attack every turn, you play a turtle, you untap it, and you just keep drawing cards. It's so good. And just look at that art. I mean that's incredible. I love that. So glad that that's in the collection. Then we have Zenith Festival. This seems cool. Got some borderless full art here. Okay. With Harmonize. Sage of the Skies. This is another one. Flying Lifelink, and you can copy it for a 2/3. This is one I've also seen in certain legacy builds. I don't know. I don't think Death and Taxes is playing it, but if you're trying to go a little bit more aggro, I've seen some people messing around with this, maybe in like a Jeskai Control or something like that. Ooh, and this beautiful island with the dragon eye there. That's super cool. Okay. Segu Wildling. Okay, this is a common, but I mean, look at that artwork and the framing with the like wings and everything. That is just so cool. Wow. And it's foil as well. That is unbelievable for just a common. Oh, and then we have another one, non-foil. Same thing here, so that's really cool. I don't know. I don't play a lot of standard, even though I play basically every other format. So I don't know if this is a good card in standard. Searching for a basic and just having a 3/3 that gains you life, probably not. But that's interesting there. Hey, maybe that's something that could work in some sort of fringe popper deck. So cool to have two of those. Royal Procession. Okay. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting. Good to have. Blue and a green. Oh, so it basically regrowth, but it adds the blue for the instant speed. Okay. Krumar Initiate. That's cool. And foil. Nice uncommon. Opulent Palace. Okay. That's another one. Yeah, that's really cool. And you can see the foil. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, with the little insignia there. That is so cool. Sarkon's Resolve and foil. Okay, more foil commons. We've got Sibsig Appraiser and the Delta Bloodflies. Okay. Well, I think that was a great pack. We got the Storm Shell, we got the Elusive Hunter, we got the Quarry Mountain Monastery. So there are some more cards that might be bigger hits, but especially this Storm Shell for the Turtle deck I was pointing out. That's 100% going in there, so that's cool. And then let's see what we get in the second collector booster. So this one I'm gonna just flip the order of so that we're opening the commons first. Just gonna double check that we have the same setup here with the token in the front. Yep, that's the token. So we're gonna flip the order of these and we'll see what we get. Perfect, and there's our token. Okay. So we have Watcher of the Wayside. Okay, foil common. Nice. Agent of Codus, another foil common. Adorned Crocodile. Okay, another one, foil common. Wild Ride. Nice foiling there. Then we get into the uncommons. Okay. Nice. Another uncommon with foiling. I like that they have the little like clan insignias foiled out in all the cards. That is super cool. Then this uncommon here, Purging Stormbrood. Ooh, this is cool. So this is not in foil, but again with the really cool border here. We have the Sonic Shrieker. Flying 4/4. When it enters, it deals 2 damage to any target and you gain 2 life. If a player is dealt damage this way, they discard a card. So that is just really cool. I mean, if I had a Mardu deck to put that in, I mean, that'd be awesome. So maybe I'll put together a Mardu commander deck just for that. We'll see. Boulderborn Dragon. Okay. So this is the colorless one, the artifact. When it attacks, you surveil one. Okay. That's kind of cool. It can just go into any dragon deck, regardless of the color. It's all foiled out. Nice. Ooh, this is nice. Just another foil, full art, basic. You know, they've started doing these kinds of basics in all the sets now, and I really like what they're doing. Obviously, some of the arts are better than others, but this one in particular, I'm actually a big fan of. That's super sweet. I don't think I've seen that before. You just have the like desert there with the dragon shadow and yeah, really, really cool. Okay, what do we have here? First rare foil enchantment saga rediscover the way. And this is in Jeskai colors. That is cool. Really love that art too. This is unbelievable. Okay. Ooh, and then Beator, Ancestr's Voice. Wow, 3/4 flying lifelink. We have the full art mythic here. Might have to build a deck around that. That is super cool. At the beginning of your end step, put a number of +1/+1 counters on up to one other target creature you control equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Return up to one target creature card with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life you lost this turn from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, so all about gaining and losing life. That is really, really cool. I like that. And then another full art. Winecrag Siege. Rare. That is. Wow. Look at the art on these cards, man. I mean, I'm so blown away by the artists and the art here, and I feel like with every set they just continue to find a new way to blow it out of the park here. So take a look at the detailing on that. That is so sick. Cool. Okay. And you can choose, obviously this is the split enchantments, kind of like what they had in the previous set. Let me make sure that it's focusing properly. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, this is just really, really cool, and you can pick between Mardu or Jeskai for the effects. Okay, let's see what's next here. We have Stormscale Scion. Now this is really cool. So this is the new kind of like storm finisher that you can work with and just make a ton of dragons. So I haven't actually seen it pop up in any Storm lists yet. Obviously, it's not being played in Legacy Storm as of now because it's not something you can Burning Wish for. Like, forgetting the name of the 4-drop, um, the 4-drop sorcery, Empty the Warrens, I think. Um, but because it's a creature, but having something like this and being able to like, even if it's not for a full huge storm like Storm 8 or 10 or something, being able to just storm for like 3 or 4 and then put out just like so many dragons is really cool. And I'm wondering if maybe something like this could see play in like mono red storm uh, in modern or something like that. Just a really cool card. And then Narset Chess Guy Waymaster. Now that is awesome. And it's all foiled out. If you can see that, that is cool. Beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. That is really cool. I could build a really fun like wheel deck and storm deck. Yeah, maybe that could be a thing. We could do some sort of like wheeling, storming, Narset deck with a Stormscale Scion finisher. That'd be awesome. I like that. It's just, going through these kind of packs and seeing these cool cards. It's just like getting my brewing juices flowing. And let's see what else we got here. Oh, and then it's just the token. But wow, what incredible cards! These were some big hits. Let's just show them again. We got these from this pack. We've got Obviously, the Quarry Mountain Monastery, Storm Shell, some other hits here. We saw, the cool basics, just great hits from the collectors, and so happy to get this as prizing. Did we get anything? I'm just trying to remember from the basic. Not really. I mean, we got the Captain Storm, which is cool. But yeah, this was everything here, and then as mentioned, got some very cool signatures, some singles for the the turtle deck that we'll put with the storm shell here. Um, and then the big hitters, the City of Traders and the Volcanic Island. So I think overall, unbelievable haul and great, great results from SCG CON Hartford. So glad that I was able to go, even though I was just there for a day doing legacy side events and a little bit of vintage cube, picking up some cards here and there. This was just unbelievable and so glad to have gone. So awesome. Uh, Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back shortly with more content from MTGO, and maybe we'll try out some new stuff. Start playing some modern, some vintage. We'll probably continue to circle back to Mono Red Painter and Legacy as well as some other decks. But looking forward to seeing you guys and talking about it then. Thanks so much. Bye bye.